Welcome to the Goodwood Show.
Welcome, everyone. We have another episode of the Goodwood Show, and today we have the pleasure of having the two co-founders of the Saga Monkes, Ryan and Nifty. I think it's the best to pass the stage to them to speak a little bit about them personally, and then after a little bit about the project. Ryan, if you want to start.
Yeah, my name is Ryan, otherwise known as Creative or krtv. I'm the artist and a co-founder, creator of Saga Monkes. We were the free generative airdrop to the Solana mobile Saga back early January 2024.
Yeah, I'm Nifty. The other half of the Saga Monkes. I do most of the dev work, Saga Monkes, and some of the other projects that we work on. Creative and I, we've worked together for 2, 3, probably going on 4 years now. So it's not just Saga Monkes. It's been a long time.
Time flies, right?
Oh yeah,
it's crazy. I wanted to dive deep a little bit before we go talk about the actual project, about your backgrounds, like why crypto, why NFTs, what is your professional background and how everything connects to this ecosystem.
Well, for me, nothing really. Nothing really connects to Web3. It was kind of I don't know really. It was just something to get involved with when it was, low stakes. It was, everyone was talking about tokens and, crypto and stuff like that. So yeah, I dip my toe into it. Things kind of snowballed a little bit in terms of how we got involved with it. But it was, I suppose it was the dev work side of it really. There was just some kind of easy wins to kind of get some things out there, using Discord, Discord bots and things like that. So that was kind of the in really. I think crypto was just kind of the window to get into some of the things that I wanted to do. So yeah, like I say, it's not just about tokens and money and things like that. It's it's an ecosystem. It's a community. It's all those things that everybody talks about in Web3, and it just kind of just gave me that opportunity just to try different things, and here we are.
Experimentation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, I've kind of been a lifelong creative my entire life. Did a lot of canvas work, traditional art to obviously kind of evolved into digital art, freelance services kind of since I was a teenager. And crypto wise, I bought Bitcoin once upon a time, 2010, something like that, back when I had to use Google Translate on this Chinese exchange, and by the time, and at the time, I mean, I was by no means comfortable. I wasn't putting thousands of dollars into this new technology that was I get the idea of it, I like the idea of it, but I'm trying to buy $50 worth to even figure it out. Well, by the time you got it to a self-custodied wallet, I think it was a Jax wallet, it was all gone after, gas fees and all that. I'm like, all right, well, this doesn't quite make sense to me. And I bought Doge once upon a time before, Elon kind of became the figurehead for it, unfortunately. And that was really kind of the extent of it. It was very much transactional, monetary. It wasn't super interesting to me other than being disruptive, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, NFTs on Ethereum that kind of got me back more interested in cryptocurrency again, because I liked the collectible nature of it. It wasn't just looking at charts. But I quickly realized, a buddy and I, we realized we were not in the right tax bracket for ETH gas fees in 2021, And we found Solana, the fact that I could buy $50 worth in my MoonPay wallet or my Phantom wallet via MoonPay, send that $50 to another wallet of mine just to test it. And it was all there within seconds. I was like, why would I go anywhere else? And I've been working on Solana ever since.
Yeah, that's kind of the same experience I had. I tried, of course, Ethereum, Cardano, and then when actually Cardano was better than Ethereum, but when you try those and it's I'm sure there's something out there in the market that is better than this, right? This is not the disruptive technology that we thought that we're gonna get, right?
I couldn't wrap my head around this future of finance being
Ethereum.
So cost prohibitive that, $10 to me is a very different $10 to someone else. And, it's a very different $10 to like someone working 3 jobs and they got to pay that $10 credit card transaction fee to pay their rent online. So paying $50, $500, at times $5,000 for ETH gas fees, depending on the state of the network at the time, that just didn't add up to me. That like you can't be okay with this idea of self-custody and like my assets are truly my assets. They're not, they're not someone else's or being overseen by someone else. But I'm also supposed to be okay with parting with $250 just to mint this Doodles derivative or whatever on ETH.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't wrap my head around like there being a real sustainable future, which obviously is, why I think we've seen such a heyday of stable coins. And I mean, that's, I don't want to get into some of your questions ahead of time, but even going into like the microtransactions of our recent game is Solana's ability to like empower micro transactions is unparalleled.
Yeah, it's Nifty from your dev point of view, right? What is your perspective? I'm sure that you thought like this technology, gonna revolutionize the world, but not in this way, right?
I don't know. I think I just found that it was just an easy entry. I think Solana has a really good community. Like the dev community is great. I mean, I'm no super dev. Like I always say I'm just pretty good at falling on my feet. Really, a lot of the things that me and Creative do is like we kind of come up with the idea first and then figure out how to do it, as opposed to like be limited by the things that you do. And that's kind of that's almost like how Saga Monkes came about anyway. But I've just always found that I don't know. I mean, it's a big community with Solana, but then it's also really small. You're chatting with people on in the Discord one day, and then you're at a Solana event and you're sitting having a beer with them. It's they're real people, and I think that's just
it's reachable, right? It's like it doesn't have this corporation mentality.
You know what I mean? We just meet you at a SMB event, and next thing you know, we're on a podcast together. It's like it's just a really good ecosystem. And like I say, as someone who's not, I am a dev, but I'm not a professional dev. I'm just someone who likes to try things, likes to push what we can do. And there's just always people out there that are really trying to help you out as well. Because I mean, the ecosystem's growing, that the Solana's building as we go along anyway. So in a way, everybody's always doing the thing for the first time themselves anyway. So everybody's always quite eager to kind of help each other out. So that's really helped me along as well. And then, I still get people now like asking me for advice, and I'm like, what are you asking me for? I'm just just some guy in London who's just just figuring stuff out myself. But I'm always happy to help people, and even just advice. Even if it's not just coding advice, it's just advice like how do we do things, like what's our approach to things, what's our kind of our ethics, like why do we do things the way we do. And a lot of the time people are like really interested in that, because it's I think a lot of people are just you want to get that thing out, but you're always worried about what it's going to become, what the pressure is on that, and sometimes it's just do things, just see what happens, see what sticks, really.
And I assume you guys, I don't know if you both started at the same time, like in 2021 when the Solana NFT craze started. Can you tell us a little bit how was the state of the market? What was the sentiment? How hyped it was, just to share with the audience that were not there at that time, probably.
I mean, it was certainly euphoric. I joke a lot on Twitter that sometimes I felt like the vibes were better at $8 than just in this last year. I kind of found Solana very late 2021. Started kind of messing with Solana NFTs or very early 2022. That's how Nifty and I originally met. But it was. I mean, you never forget that kind of feeling of like sitting in a Discord chat, right? And I don't know how long it's been since we really dealt with pre-mint and post-mint Discords. They're probably maybe more like a meme coin Telegram now, which I'm not. I'm not a big gambler, which is contrary to the industry I work in. But it was definitely. I mean, it was. Probably the best comparison would be like manic depressive, with 2021, 2022, just crypto in general, as far as like you just see everything's going up and you feel on top of the world, and then
Yeah.
the Discord's gone, the Twitter's gone, whatever it is for that thing that you just minted, and you're like, all right, you really learned to compartmentalize, that's for sure.
And your first mint, there's like no one forgets that, or their first try mint, because I tried to mint a lot of stuff back in the day, and I could mint them even on Solana. And I remember my first mint, and then I'm sure you guys remember your first mint, because it's I'm not sure if you want to reveal anyway, but
I mean, actually, I don't remember. I'm not sure I even remember my first mint. I remember having like a dozen tabs open to mint like Tombstone Society at one point. But I mean, my first Solana NFT I bought is the one that Nifty and I later derugged and took over, which was Soul Squatch. These cute little, puffy Bigfoot, IP. And to this day, they threw in the towel. March 2022, and we took it over, and we built a Discord game that's runs to this day. Pays out Soul every 5 weeks, and we've really taken care of that community through everything else we've done. People who hold the Soul Squatch, they receive merits in our Saga Monkey algorithm as far as who what helps choose future recipients of Saga Monkey airdrops. And it was that game that really won, kind of bonded in the fire. Nifty and I we've now worked together for 4+ years, but also him learning the technology with like compressed NFTs, things like that is really what made us even able to do Saga Monkeys, which admittingly was a very half-baked idea of mine in the dead of night, because I just wanted a PFP for my phone that I bought, but it really all kind of like stems back to this like circling of the wagons in March 2022 of like, all right, they rugged us, what are we going to do? So I mean, never forget that.
This was kind of the pre-Saga Monkes, right? I guess. And then Saga Monkes minted or were airdropped in 2024, right?
Yeah, Saga Monkes was a completely stealth airdrop in January 5th, something like that, 2024. Nobody apart from Nifty and I knew it was happening. It was just kind of like hey, for $180 worth of Soul, we can mint and airdrop 8,500 compressed NFTs on Solana. I just want a PFP for my phone. Maybe other people do. I mean, legacy NFTs, or especially on Ethereum, it would have been thousands and thousands of dollars. I would have never even like thought to attempt it. I wouldn't have been able to afford just pissing away thousands and thousands of dollars for like an idea. But compressed NFTs on Solana made it a reality that it could just be like hey, maybe 25% of the people even notice these hit their wallet. Obviously, we were very, very wrong as far as how they would be received. Very grateful, but yeah, Soul Squatch was very much like kind of the precursor to that.
Sorry, say.
I know, I was just gonna say, I think we were like really lucky to find Soul Squatch. I mean, everybody has that project that they kind of, they were in from those really early days, but there was just always something really special about that community. And they rugged us, but I mean, I think there was the people like Creative and a few other guys that were there. Some other people that we're still really close with to this day. We still run that project. It kind of runs itself in a way. It's not something that we're heavily in, but there's just something special about those communities that you get on Solana, and I'm sure other places as well. But it just allowed us to it made us want to keep it going. I mean, it was tough times. Solana's had some really bad times in the last few years, but there was just something in that community that we wanted to do it. We loved the IP, we loved the project, we liked working together, and it kind of gave us that kind of platform just to keep on trying all these different things. And we're still involved with people in that community. It's still, the game's still there.
Many of them bought the Saga,
and that's how we meet people who we collaborate with, like the guys who did the music for our Saga Monkeys game Bounce. We know them through that project and other projects. So not everything's about these big mints, these big 20 Soul mints or anything like that, but I've always found that the value you get isn't always a Soul amount. You know what I mean? I'm happy to have
exactly.
I'm happy to be rugged. I'm happy to have made mistakes on Solana, because along the way I've met people that I've kind of bonded with, and I'm still friends with them, and that's worth that's worth a 3 Sol mint to me anyway. So
yeah, I
And
can't imagine a world where I would still be as active on Solana in crypto in general if we hadn't taken over that project March 2022, where then I was like posting weekly updates every Friday in the Discord for years. That kept me grounded and centered and like involved, versus like it would have been really easy at Solana at $8 to pack it up. But it wasn't really an option because of that.
Yeah, and that kind of taught you the ropes, right? Sometimes it's better to be on a small community or a small project that doesn't have so much visibility, so you can learn at your rhythm and also try new things, like Nifty was saying. Like you could try things there. No one would like it. Was already a rug, so what can what can happen, right?
And it really, I mean, we are, Soul Swatches would be considered a very OG project. It minted in late 2021, but it never got the optics and eyes like, say, DJ and Ape Academy and SMB and yada yada. Where it really allowed us to kind of just experiment, and we liked keeping it tight knit, but also it really kind of provided. I mean, that we kind of always say, like, the campfire is that's the general chat in the Discord is known as the campfire. Like that's always been our home as far as where everything kind of rolls back to.
So
I mean, Soul Swatcher, it was kind of big enough that people knew what it was. So like when we derugged it, I don't know how it happened, but I became the whitelist hunter. So like, with all the NFT mints, and I got pretty good at it. Really, it was like,
oh yeah, we had some of that
charming English guy going out there to all these
most coveted whitelists.
Yeah, we got some crazy whitelists, and that's But again, it's that thing, is it? Once things like that dry up, that's when the communities can go, and then you end up with that kind of the core people that are just sticking around because of the project. But at a time, we were one of the, definitely one of the best places to get whitelist for.
Well, and it also, you get a lot of people, especially now. I mean, I just saw a mint just the other day that's using Saga Monkey art as a derivative, and they're giving out NFTs during mint. I'm like, oh, this is like, what is it, 2022? But like, we see these things that happen that are like, you're just repeating the mistakes of the past. Whereas like Nifty and I, and you, and like a lot of people have been around long enough.
We saw so much stuff.
We saw so much stuff like that doesn't work, that's not sustainable, that just leaves people burnt in the end, that maybe pumps the floor price of something briefly to bring in new people who feel wrecked, but you get people, oh, when staking, when this, when that. It's like, you guys, I don't know if you're new here, but that doesn't, there's these ideas that you think are grand and like no-brainer ideas, but we've been around long enough to know that they don't work in the long run.
It solves the problem.
Yes.
In that week, month, but then
temporary. Yes.
It
does with the idea of future of finance on a blockchain that is actually scalable, that you foresee being here 10 years. We try to be, very intentional with every single thing we do, because we believe it will last, versus being flash in the pan, buy and sell the news kind of things that I think people got too desensitized to.
Yeah. So going now forward to the moment that you airdropped the NFTs. That's not like you made it sound simple, that I want a PFP for my phone, let's do this. But I'm sure there was a lot of work, right? Before that, there was art that has to be created. You have to, coordinate so much stuff, right?
Yeah, it was. I'll let Nifty chime in on the technical side. For me, I'm not a dev, like, at all, in any shape of the word, apart from like now kind of recently going down the vibe coding rabbit hole. I feel a little bit more like a dev now, but back then, hell no. And so my idea was like, I just want to, can we mint all these and airdrop them? And I already had this base that I had like kind of tinkered with months back, just because I like generative art as an art form, not generative art like AI art, but like how you're putting
the pixelated and the layers on top of
layers, and how it's kind of like you're painting the pieces of a puzzle before seeing them all together. So it takes a lot of consideration and logic and color theory to how they're all going to go together. So, I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be like a 2-day process, just like over a weekend. And again, then we'll just go back to our regular life of running our D-Rug with our, Discord game. And I'm like sitting on my patio, like, doing traits for this. And then it ends up being probably like a week-long process of like really getting it fully done and out there. And I mean, to the point where like I thought I was going to be airdropping these myself manually.
One by one.
Yeah, I'd probably still be doing it to this day. But the technical side was way more than I expected, for sure.
Yeah, no, it was again, first time I've ever done it. So it was because we had the game, because we had the Campfire Gardens game in Soul Squatch. We had an element of the game where you got airdropped at CNFTs, and CNFTs they were brand new at the time. Like no one really knew what was going on with really again thinking outside the box, just using them in different kind of ways. But it was unstable. There's a lot of accounts that go into CNFTs that make it quite hard to mint. There's a lot of failures and things like that. But what it is with CNFTs were always about that. How do I drop 10,000 of the same thing to people? That's it. It's not easy, but it's pretty easy to just airdrop the same thing. When we want to drop 8,500 different things, that is when it's a little bit more complicated. But that's why the testing. That's why it took a week. We could already mint NFTs. We could always send them out. But it was that testing, like how many errors we're going to get, how long is this going to take? How do I collect all the errors? Retry all that kind of stuff. So that's what really took the time. But we also because no one knew what we were doing it. It's not like we had a deadline. We didn't say we're going to do it by Friday, whatever. So what we actually did to make it even safer and more accurate, we pre-minted all of them. So at one point I had 8,500 Saga Monkes sitting on one wallet. And once I was completely happy that they were all there, no errors, then we started airdropping them. And again, but we airdropped one by one. So where you'd normally mint straight to a wallet, we minted 8,500 and then sent out 8,500. But again, there was no deadline apart from we wanted to be first. That was it. But
that was the most important part, was being first.
You definitely.
But it worked out. And again, look, people tried it. So Saga Monkes blew up. It was insane, really. It was crazy how much noise it created, how many eyes were on it, and there was people who tried to do the similar kind of thing, like the next day, the day after. They didn't do it. A lot of people just couldn't. People who you'd think would be able to just get it done, they fell into the pit that we were able to navigate just by being first. So again, if we were trying to rush it, we would probably done the same thing. But luckily, we kind of took our time. It was stressful. Craig was messaging me a lot, like, is it ready? Is it ready yet? So I did feel the pressure a little bit. But I'm glad we took our time because we did it right and it was clean. And I think no errors in the end.
Not a single error. Yeah.
Errors. I mean, I had a lot of errors in testing, like a lot of errors, but that's what it was. Because I wanted to go to bed. It was late. Wake up in the morning, it was all done. Actually, no, it wasn't all done. Woke up in the morning and it was still going out. So there was a lot of people waiting for them to come, people messaging, has yours arrived yet?
My inbox was...
I can imagine, because you said no one knew about it, but then suddenly people start getting this NFT on their sagas and the word starts spreading. Oh, I have an NFT. Why don't you have an NFT? You have an saga as well. So I can imagine the entitlement.
So much entitlement, and it's the stuff that kind of sticks with you. You try to forget, but also we were just talking about this the other day. I take shit pretty personally, and he's like, we've been doing this for years now. Stop taking things so personally. But it's hard not to, And I mean, I'll never forget some of the messages I got. Just like give me my monkey. I just activated my Saga, and it's like, you didn't read, did you? I put out this big tweet. Because really, I only secured the Twitter account for it like the day of, because I didn't want someone else to go and take it and try to scam people. Because really, it was just like, we're just going to give out this art. That's it. Go back to our regular life. nothing's going to change.
You thought that you could go back to your
yes.
Yes,
And
exactly.
so I secured the domain, I secured the Twitter just to, again, prevent someone from scamming, put out a thread just saying, if you activate it by this date, yada, yada. Obviously, a lot of people didn't read it. So my Twitter inbox was just an absolute wreck with, I just bought a Saga off eBay. Where do I get my monkey? And
exactly.
It was a very euphoric, but also chaotic few days for sure.
So how did you guys then dealt with all that, let's say not fame, but such a big apparatus, then suddenly you are from nothing to having like 8,000 holders or users, and most of the time, because the sagas, okay, a lot of people bought, I don't know, 5 sagas or 10 sagas or 20, but normally it's just one person, one saga, if you go 90% of them. So you have actually real individuals, 8K real individuals now. That is your community.
Yeah, and I mean that was, we obviously had been working on Solana for a long time, and I mean I was in some certain groups and have had worked with some people where I think my name carried a certain bit of weight or credibility that lended well to when people realized I was the kind of I was the creator and artist of this thing that's happening right now. I think if, I sometimes wonder if I had just left it completely anonymous, what would have happened? I think someone probably would have tried to go in and say it was theirs and again, scam people, which I would hate to see. But yeah, when you, again, us all on this call being around so long, you watch these mints that get botted, that get, I'm in these little one-of-one alpha groups where it's just people hoarding whitelists across as many one-of-one collections as they can buy. And they go and they secure 15 whitelists for some mint. They mint all of their allocation, they tweet, and then they dump it. That had become the norm in NFT mints, where people just, a small amount of people go and suck up the supply so they can, obviously profit as much as possible. Whereas with Saga Monkes, and really being, one of the many lists of a first of its kind of thing is being that it was one monkey per phone. The only way you could have got more than one off the bat was if you went and bought more than one phone, which, hey, if you did, that's between you and your higher power, I guess. I only bought one Saga because I only needed one
exactly.
Saga. But that distribution method really was a cheat code, because, it really, it created, to this day, where where the upper percentile of holder, of unique holders on any chain, and obviously there's a lot of secondary action. There's a lot of trading where, some people own 20. Now some people still only own that single one they ever got airdropped, and
like me.
Part with it, is a sentimental value kind of thing. And I think it really created a very unique holder base that we've never seen before or will see again, because it hit people that they were involved with NFTs. It hit people that had no interest at all. They bought the Solana phone just because they were a dev, or they were just interested in the idea of a crypto phone, but they wanted bonk. Or they wanted bonk. And we really lucked out. We really lucked out in that when we did the snapshot on January 2nd or whatever, and it wasn't this meticulous plan. It was well, I have my phone in my hand. I bought mine shortly before the bonk FOMO sold out the phone. So that snapshot we took, because I wanted to be first, in an industry, especially NFTs, but meme coins now too, that is one of the most saturated on the planet.
Oh yeah.
Provenance matters. And I wanted it to be the first generative PFP airdrop to as MKBHD call it, the worst phone of 2023. And so getting it out and then figuring out the future wave thing, that was secondary. So getting it out to be first, it kind of avoided a lot of those people that purely bought the phone so they could dump the bonk and then throw it in their drawer. But that also made a lot of people mad, because that's where they bought the phone, right? To get free shit. So it was really, oh yeah, some of the messages I got were just like heinous as far as like, because they didn't get a monkey that at one time they could have dumped for $1,600 or whatever. Definitely stuff I remember.
You never forget.
Never, bro. Yeah, I'm a little petty in that regard as far as, you know, remembering who to, who to keep on my shit list.
I wanted just to ask, because was this the first your first plan? Let's say, was always airdrop, or you thought, oh, let's do a mint on a launch pad? I don't know. At that time, I think Solana was sort in a transition, right? We lost a bit of launch pads for NFTs. We had only the launch my NFT. I don't know. Magic Eden was still an option. Is still an option, I think. But there was a period what everyone wanted to create, to do a NFT launchpad, and suddenly there was nothing. And then I don't know if that was
no, that timing didn't line up. I mean, there were definitely launch pads. It was absolutely never a consideration.
Okay.
I'm confident that in some of the groups that I have been in for years now, I could have propped up a launch my NFT page for a one sol mint, and I could have sold them out. But I didn't want to do that. I then would have felt this like really inherent responsibility. Like I took all this money off a launch pad, minting this project, and now what I'm supposed to, you know, sell you $150 hoodies and make up this roadmap. Like I sleep really well at night knowing that like I gave away my art in the most ethically way possible I could think of, which was to do it where no one knew it was happening, completely unsolicited. It just shows up in your wallet because we were able to snapshot that you activated your Saga Genesis token, you know, by a certain date. I really liked the idea of rewarding people who believed in Solana at a point where like it was dire, you know, like you had to be a crazy Solana bull to buy the Solana Saga, you know, at least before the bonk FOMO, right?
Yeah.
You like really had to believe in the idea of all of this. So and of course I bought the phone. So, you know, I again, I powered up my phone, set up my Phantom wallet, and I'm a nerd and that I like to like customize stuff. I wanted a PFP for my phone that looked like it was made for the phone. You know, when you set up a Facebook account and it's got that little default avatar and it's clearly made by like a design team for Facebook. Like that was my logic in the design and art of Saga Monkes, was I wanted to look like, not in a misleading way, but like that Solana Mobile made it for this phone, or Android made it for this Android phone. You know, Google made it for this Android phone. And so really just, and we probably have, I mean, you know, in our Discord message, we probably have, you know, still have the original message of, all right, hear me out. What if we airdropped a free PFP as a CNFT to the worst phone of 2023? That was just kind of the meme, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I post that out every now and again.
Yeah.
Just to prove to people, it's like, no, this is what it was. When people think that there was this massive thing behind it, like we planned it, I was like, no. This was it. Just one of the
putting it up on a launch
messages we sent to each other every day. You know.
Yeah, what was the inspiration in terms of the art? You say that you like pixelated. I'm sure. And I even put on my notes that it reminds me a lot of Zeno.
Yeah, you know,
an artist.
I love Zeno's art. I'm a collector of his work. You know, this was probably summer of 2023. Someone I've known now for quite a few years, a Devour from FaZe Labs. He derugged a project once upon a time called Dead Monkeys, and he reached out to me about doing a kind of a pixel revamp of Dead Monkeys, and I sent him about like maybe between 3 and 5 different like renditions, all on very different canvas sizes, and one of them was the Saga Monkey original silhouette. Was the original silhouette on a 16 by 16 canvas. And we went with like a 32 by 32 or 46 by 46 canvas. So completely different looking monkey. But I always had this like just little single base, all the color, you know, was different. The back, you know, it had a different background, but I always loved, anytime I'd open up my like pixel art app on my iPad, I would see it. I'm like, I wish I was the type of artist that would just go and launch my NFT mint up and just sell generative, but like I'm not, it's just not me. It's not how I operate. Then I feel like I got to create a project around crap. Yada, yada. It's just not the way. It just goes against how I work. But I always loved the idea of it becoming a collection because, again, I really do enjoy generative PFP art. I mean, I'm a '90s kid, grew up with Xbox Live, where you're collecting these avatars for your Xbox Live, all that crap. So I really love PFPs as an art form. So being able to kind of dust off that silhouette, make some pretty serious tweaks to it, and actually in our wave 2, there's 2 1-of-1s in wave 2 that are like more closer to the original sample I sent over at Devour, and they're in there as 1-of-1s with my signature on them and the date and everything. But yeah, really, it was like, how do we create something that again feels like a part of the phone? So get going really small canvas size, 16 by 16, real low resolution, but also there's a lot of amazing art in NFTs, but it doesn't translate really well when you're looking at it on on Twitter, right? Mm-hmm. When the PFP becomes the size of your fingernail, your pinky nail, you really lose a lot of the incredible detail that people have put into look at Dead Gods, Scum. I love his work. I'm such a huge fan of Scum's work, even outside of NFTs. But you lose a lot of detail when it gets so small. So my kind of logic was how do I create in art like a PFP that really looks better the smaller it gets versus getting kind of muddied. Yeah.
Okay. And then the drop happens, and you kind of became the face of the Saga phone, and sometimes a little bit the face of Solana, because I remember Tolly, co-founder of Solana, I think he's still using it, right?
Not for a bit. He definitely, I think, holds the record as far as the longest and most times he's had a collection as his PFP. But also, it's not an NFT. That was just just a JPEG. That's just a PNG of a monkey I drew and posted online, and he rolled.
Oh, it's actually not him.
It's not minted or anything like that. Yeah. Which I'm not big on minting things like honoraries for a lot of reasons. But yeah, it definitely, that was as an artist, on Solana since 2021, 2022, that was a pretty surreal feeling for sure.
Yeah, and then at some point, I don't know, I had this feeling that everyone thought that Solana Foundation was behind this.
Really?
No, I mean, because we were totally using it, everyone was posting or changing their PFPs to the Saga Monkes, so how from nothing you guys become this behemoth? How was that, right? And then suddenly you are making also a little bit of revenue, because at some point I remember even my wife sold the NFT for 5 Solana, so you were getting royalties on those sales, right? So from zero you become this massive, the most known NFT at that time, probably. Right.
Yeah, it certainly was a life-changing event for both of us. As far as Solana Foundation involvement or whatever, certainly none. It was just the 2 of us with this silly idea. But again, when you think of who bought those first 8,500 Saga phones, that is a really tapped in demographic. Again, you have people, you're going to have people at Solana Foundation. You're going to have people in leadership. You're going to have people. You go to a Solana event and throw a rock, you're going to hit a couple monkeys, because the people who go to those events are also the people that probably bought the Saga phones. It really is. It's again, when I say it's very one of a kind demographic. It was a really huge net that got thrown out over Solana for really the people that kind of believe the most. And I love hearing about people selling their airdrop. We got a big rule in the community that we don't sell shame. IRL always comes first. We all got bills to pay on this Wish brand planet. And hearing, I remember getting pinged in Gen 2 chat in Monkey DAO. Someone was like, creative, I just sold my airdrop monkey for 100 Sol. I'm like, holy shit. Like,
What? Yeah,
I hope you like go pay off credit cards or something like that. You know, I mean, if you gamble away on meme coins, that's, you know, I don't feel bad for you. But if you went and like made a tangible improvement to your life, like that feels really good for me as someone who just made something to give away.
And then after, I assume, like, you didn't, I don't know if you had any roadmap, right? It was just that. But then I assume that you start to have the responsibility to do something more than just the airdrop, try to build the community, do stuff. So when did you realize that you had to do stuff, let's say?
It kind of built itself, didn't it, really? I think people respected what we'd done to the point where they kind of just helped build it themselves. It's like, yeah, it is hard. We never really had a roadmap. Well, we didn't expect any of this. There was nothing. There was no roadmap. But I think the fact that everything kind of blew up, people were creating Discords, people were creating all these little things. I think the thing for us, it was more like, okay, well, now these things are here. Now we've got to keep them going, really, because we didn't want to then be seen as like letting them drop and it looking like some kind of rogue. So I think that was the thing. And we have a Discord, but we never actually set the Discord up. It was just something that we took over because we wanted to kind of keep it going. Twitter's always been the place where Saga Monkes has always been the loudest. It's mainly lots and lots of Twitter chats, like, that people have set up, and then that maybe they'll die and then we aren't actually the admins of them, so we can't actually get us there. We have to set up another one, things like that. And there's things like the tattoo cabal. There's so many people who've got like Saga Monkes tattoos, things like that. It was just all this crazy stuff. I mean, me and Creative, we've been all over the world, really, the last few years, and met up with people telling their stories about Saga Monkes, and we'll do all of our monkey meets and things like that. But as Creative says, it's like you can go to any Solana event, and everybody's a Saga Monkey. They just are. We did in April. We were in New York for NFT New York, and we did our Primate Pizza party with DJ and Apes Academy, and we did the Wave 2 airdrop that morning, and then we only did 100 of them, and there was people there who'd got them. It was just like crazy coincidence of just things that kind of just all lined up, really. And so it was crazy, really. But like I say, yeah, I think it was the community kind of just built itself in a way. And
a natural process, not forced.
Yeah, natural process. Yeah, you do have to keep it going. Creator's very good at that. He's very good at kind of being that face. I was always able to sit a little bit back in the background, just kind of naturally. But we were just really lucky that the people that really got it, and the people that ran with it, they're still the people that are there now, and there's still people with the PFP to this day, and they're doing their own thing. And I think we're just really lucky with how it felt.
I think that's a great way to put it, in that like there are people who like get Saga Monkey, and there are people who don't get Saga Monkeys. They're like, oh, why should I buy one? What's the utility? Like, if you don't get it, that's fine. But like, they're a culturally significant historical collectible that are in the Solana zeitgeist. Like, they will be relevant for a very long time. Yeah, because of what they were, what they were first at, what they accomplished, and what we continue to accomplish. Like, we've got projects raising millions of dollars every month for things they've yet to deliver, and we just gave out art, and we outwork and out deliver a lot of people. And I think a lot of that comes from an appealing purity that comes from, like, on the landing page where we had the list of wallets, for Wave 1 recipients, like, no roadmap, no utility, no promises, like, just free art. Like, this is just art. Like, you're just getting free art. That's it. And we saw this community build itself. We saw people going and like running with it. They were taking their IP and doing stuff. They were going and building like cool customation apps, where like you could create a GM GIF, with your monkey, and like all this really neat stuff that now for 2 years we get to watch the community make. And like, for us, it's like we're big believers in that, like, it takes a village, right? But you also have to give your village the right tools. So like, we've never had a roadmap. We've never had this like, oh, we're going to go do this. It's always been like, promise nothing, but like, just build cool shit. And like, we build things that we think are cool. Like, not necessarily that we think like other people might think they're cool, because it's like some meta chasing. Like, we just want to make things that we think are neat and we think the community might enjoy using. So, it really, I mean, I certainly, as the artist in kind of, inceptor, I definitely became the figurehead, that face, and there's days where it feels great, there's days it doesn't feel great, but it's, I feel really grateful and fortunate that something that was just this half-baked idea, really create a lasting kind of legacy. I was speaking of Scum. We were grabbing coffee just like last year when I was in Arizona, and we were just kind of shooting the shit about our trials and tribulations of being artists on Solana, and I kind of told him, I was like, I feel like I owe Solana a lot, so I show up every day paying my dues. And he kind of retorted with like well, I think Solana owes you a lot. And I'm like, fuck. That all right, that felt I'll take that as that kind of altered my perception a little bit. I think we all deal with some imposter syndrome in life, but definitely when you like just kind of give away an art collection not expecting anything, and it kind of becomes what it did, it definitely lights that fire.
Yeah, and you mentioned it's hard sometimes to see how some projects are supported so massively and get hackathons and stuff, and some others that been building for years, right? They get no attention, no support.
Oh, absolutely. And it's an attention economy, and people want to follow money and volume. But I mean, hell, just in that tweet we were all tagged in the other day, Lothar, and Grim Syndicate, like fucking love. I don't know how much I can cuss on here, but like, I love Lothar, and he works his ass off, and Grim Syndicate is so OG. I mean, they built like a game that's on Steam. You can go download it on Steam. But like, are people talking about them like they're talking about whatever Ponzi scheme is minting tomorrow or whatever? I mean, that joke would play better probably in 2022 or 2023 because there aren't a lot of NFT mints anymore. But yeah, there's a lot of like really underappreciated people who like really work their asses off every single day.
I think that there's so many things that happened over the last few years that were just too early. I think that's the thing. I think we're still early, and I know that's a bit of a cliche on Solana. It's
always early.
But it's that. I would say it's that survival bias. It's people like us, people like Lothar. We're still here, and we're the ones. And again, not that we're any better than anyone else or anything like that. It's just because we've seen that value, we've navigated it, we've stayed able to be able to keep our head up. And we're I always joke we're like the most boring founders on Solana because we have not, I'm not saying we have ethics, but we just have a way of doing things where we don't extract, we put stuff out there. Nothing we ever do is ever to kind of take. It's always to try and give. And if we get something back from it, then great. That's a bonus, but it's not our first port of call. And I think that's why we can kind of just keep putting stuff out there without these roadmaps, just trying things, because we don't promise we're going to do things. We're not saying we're going to do X, Y, Z. We just want to do what we want to do, and hopefully people pick it up and they like it. And if they don't, they don't. There's loads of things that we've done that no one's actually bothered to do. People haven't liked, but we'd rather try it. We'd just rather try these things and be just have a clear conscience that we tried it, and it's only on us that if anything was lost, it's our loss. Nobody else's.
I want to feel proud of the work we do, and conscious being a big factor. I know that I could have went and pumped out PFP collections or done this or this, especially some of the group chats I found myself in. Being where it's all very cabal-y. Like I could have made a lot of money. If I didn't care about sleeping well at night. We're in a world, but especially an industry where like people are so financially incentivized to manipulate us out of our money. From how they post on Twitter to their delist trains in the Discord and yada yada. And like I never want to feel ashamed or like I took something from someone versus just like trying to create stuff. And I think that's like values that we've shared now for years, where we were always, we're very yin and yang in some regards that are like, that's very helpful, but then also always on the same page as like, why would we do that if the only aim there would be to like
Extract or
raised
make
for,
money.
extract or raised for something that doesn't need to be raised for anyway. You know, I mean, we're, you know, it sounds silly to say in such a like financially oriented space, but we're like really not motivated by money. You know, we could have went and like launched some token for our game, right, to like then fund it, but like no, like we pay an artist out of our pocket to make the assets for it, you know, and hey, ideally we make that back. If we don't, at least people enjoyed the game. And you know, I mean, God, I'm like constantly having to say no token affiliated, you know, you know, any token claiming affiliation is a scam. I mean, especially anytime totally PFP is the monkey. I mean, oh my God, you see so many pump fund tokens with that totally PFP.
I can assume. It is funny because it takes years to build a reputation, and then you can destroy it in one day, right? You pump some crap stuff by mistake, and that's it. You're gone.
Integrity does not have a floor price. Yeah.
Tell us actually what are the things at the moment. I see your presence on the Seeker phone as well a lot. You have games, you have stuff, but tell us what are the Saga Monkes doing at the moment.
There's something new happening on Solana, and you can hear it. Soul Radio is a 24/7 radio stream and original tracks only. No copies, no noise, just real vibes from the ecosystem. If you're part of the space, you need to hear this. Discover Soul Radio now at soulradio.fun.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and I'll let Nifty chime in as well. You know, for us, really, I mean, you know, the chapter 2 pre-orders went live kind of at an interesting time, in my opinion. You know, Saga Monkes Wave 1 was like really, you know, hitting euphoric levels. You know, for a day we out traded CryptoPunks. It's pretty euphoric, you know. Wow. as far as our lore, and that's when we started talking about, you know, a Wave 2, you know, a new snapshot with you know a second airdrop, and then Solana Mobile started teasing their chapter 2 pre-order token, and so we knew there would be something coming out. I was very public in that I hoped it would be a very cheap phone. You know, not trying to make an iPhone, because there are countries all over the world where it's like people can't get the newest iPhone. They can't get really good Android phones. You know, so my logic was something like a Firefly phone. You know, something like just a dirt cheap but functional phone that taps you into Solana. I mean, that like is very impactful for the world economically. Yeah. And I was very happy to see that that's kind of what it ended up being, you know, a you know, more entry level Android phone that taps you into this space where it puts the door of opportunity, you know, into people's lives who previously weren't even in the same, you know, galaxy as the window. You know, I mean, it really can change people's lives being able to get in tune with this technology. But for us, you know, we've never wanted to just be like, oh, attributed to the Saga, right? And you know, obviously it's in our name, Saga Monkes, but like that's just a good name, you know. You know, so us having a presence on the Seeker was very important. You know, having a presence on the DApp store was very important. I mean, since launch, since early January, we've always been harping, you know, and preaching to the community and the Solana community, like, you need to be building stuff for a Solana Mobile. Like, cool, you're making this app, you're making this product, this DeFi, whatever, for a browser, like, charge it to the game. You need to be allocating some sort of resource, no matter how minimal, to be shipping something to the Solana Mobile store, even just because, like, it's a no-brainer as far as distribution, you know, for that audience, but also, like, again, it's just a part of the culture. You should just do it, you know. And seeing some people neglect it was kind of frustrating. Like, what? Like, how are you not shipping a browser, at least like a browser version of the app on the store? So for a long time, we've been like heralding that, and it's been really awesome seeing, you know, there's a lot of Solana Mobile apps that have monkeys on the team, that have Saga Monkes on the team. You know, probably a good percentage of them. And you know, for us, we always knew we wanted a presence on it, other than like the ulterior of, like, you know, oh, we've got people in the community making their own apps, because that's you know, we really want to cultivate a builder community, right, of people making their own stuff and making their own revenue, but obviously that, you know, maybe helps shepherd the Saga Monkes brand as well in the right way, of course. And you know, last year, you know, Nifty messaged me kind of this like idea that he's been tinkering with, and I will absolutely admit, and he knows this, I had my reservations at first, because I was like, well, I don't want us to like look like a gaming company, because we're definitely not. You know, we're not a gaming company. We're just a legacy art collectible that happens to do cool stuff, you know.
Exactly.
And really, the more he showed me, the more he worked on it, and the more we talked about it, it was really just this really interesting idea. And you know, we at times work a little slower than others because we're a two-man team, but we do everything with a lot of intent and a lot of caution and a lot of care. And just, you know, what, about a week ago now, we finally released Bounce, which is our kind of debut game as a Solana Mobile exclusive. We received the first ever Solana Mobile grant to kind of give that game some runway, and to continue to evolve it. And it's been really exciting seeing people's reception to it. You know, I know some people, you know, they think it's a little hard. I don't know if it's their first day with hands or it's a skill issue or whatever. But I mean, we got some people that are hitting like high scores of 35,000, you know, so obviously it's not too hard.
It's possible.
I admit I suck. You know, I was never big into accelerometer.
I need to install it.
But you know, I think I maxed out around 2,000 points on my score, so I'm definitely not great. But it's been a really fun thing to work on. I'll let Nifty. Oh, that's one of the we also did again for the Seeker presence. We did a lot of we do a lot of bounties in the community, like in our Discord. You know, and you know, chance to earn USDC. For doing things like even like streaming on Twitch with a monkey PFP, like things like that, you know, to kind of build presence elsewhere. But we did some with on Super Team Earn, where, you know, get things like that, like, you know, oh, go make a Saga Monkey themed wallpaper and things like that. And I was really happy with some of the things that
some are
produced.
very good.
Yeah. Well, some of it's a lot of AI slop. That was like, oh man, some of these threads I can't bear going through. But yeah, it
I have it since the beginning. Actually, it's funny. It was so nice, and I put it as
that was one of the ones that won. Yeah,
background. Yeah, my brother-in-law told me about that one that moves when you tap, it jumps. Yeah. That one, but I was like, I prefer this one. I don't want to run the extra activity just to have something moving in the background.
Yeah, that was made by that was. I mean, it was made. The bounties inspired him, but it was, you know, made by someone in the community. You know, it goes by Fox Jones. Awesome guy. He's you know, been in the community for as long as I can remember. You know, since day one. And it kind of going back to like why NFTs piqued my interest more into crypto as opposed to just like a passive buy stuff occasionally once upon a time, was how. And I hate the term NFTs, but like how an on-chain, you know, community like really activates one's green thumb to pursue ideas that they never kind of maybe would have previously, because of how they have a distribution channel. They have this way of kind of, you know, whether it's working for your bags or whatever. I mean, you go door to door and you knock, you know, and you tell people, hey, can I tell you about Apple? It's not going to help their stock value. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like getting to like pursue your own, you know, creative interests, whether that's development, whether that's art, whatever, you know, or Twitter space, it's just that you're wanting to be like a public presence. You know, I think how that ties in with on-chain communities is really kind of unlike a lot of other, for lack of a better word, industries. And that moving monkey wallpaper is an exact example of how it kind of really got him more down the development rabbit hole as well. And I mean, you know, and we again, you know, going back to, you know, providing your village the right tools, you know, we have, you know, an extensive library of assets, you know, like pixel assets, you know, from like side scroller games and 3D assets that, you know, are in portals, and like, you know, seeing him run with the side-scrolling Pixel Monkey assets, so he can like make a browser-based, side scroller game. Like that stuff, that's very exciting to us, because obviously we're always working on our own ideas to kind of build what Saga Monkes is and the brand and yada yada, but also seeing what other people do out of their own interest is very surreal.
Yeah, and it's good, and that's kind of an inspiration as well for Mindfolk when we decided to kind of keep the project as a community project, right? And it's not easy to find community projects, because it's hard when everyone tends to redirect their attention to a leader, right? They expect the team to deliver something, and it's very hard then to pass the message that there's no team. The team is everyone that wants to contribute. And then in Mindfolk was a bit like that as well. Someone came with a website, someone came with merchandise, merch website they created t-shirts. So everyone contributes a little bit, right? And you kind of build the project on this. But it's hard, and I'm not sure if you had this struggle, hard to explain to some holders that there's no leader that's gonna decide that we're gonna mint something. If the community wants to do that, then they vote by itself. Well, they do it. But I don't know if you had this struggle. If people still think that you two have to build staking or something else or whatever.
I think, and for starters, props. I mean, I remember Mindfolk Mint, and I mean, for you guys to still be here, I mean, it takes a lot. We know just from debugging Soul Squatch, right? I mean, it takes a lot, especially for like a community oriented project or collection. We've always found ourselves in a very unique position with Saga Monkes specifically, in that, like, it was, a lot of these NFT mints, they start out with greed, whether it be founders trying to make a bunch of money to figure out how to build a parachute after they've jumped out of the plane, or minters who are hoping to turn $50 into $500, at the expense of someone else, hoping they don't realize they're buying bad fruit from them.
Yeah, exactly.
For us, it was like, no, we just want to give this away, and whatever happens, happens. And, so we've never really dealt with the when moon, when utility, when staking kind of crowd. Again, we've always, been fortunate to like be surrounded by people who get it, who get the assignment, who get what Saga Monkes is. The occasional person who maybe didn't last long, in the community. They were like, this is, isn't for me. I'm looking for the financial vehicle that NFTs once were, which probably won't ever be again. Where I can go pay my rent, but using my light bill. I think that's a kind of certain crowd Solana kind of attracted because of the low friction and gas fees. But I mean, we've got a guy in the community, great guy. We've met several times at events, and he would always kind of joke, he hates Discord, won't use it, only uses the Twitter chats. And he'd always joke, oh, when only monkeys, he called it, when only monkeys, an app just for monkeys to chat on. And I'd say, when you build it, when you figure out how to build it, And like, we're working on our own stuff. We're not trying to build a Discord competitor, And with this, resurgence of agentic coding, vibe coding, whatever,
it's possible.
He got a Claude subscription, and we're in this little group chat with him. He's got a bunch of testers, and we're seeing all this progress of him making this Only Monkeys app, where it's like it's a Solana mobile app that he's working on getting submitted, where you have to have a Saga Monkey to use it in chat, and it's like, and I messaged him like, it's awesome seeing you on your kind of dev arc as far as like going and building something that you've kind of always joked about wanting. And I think that's real testament to like the kind of people you want in a community, because, the days of like meme coins exponentially replaced NFTs as far as like the financial gambling vehicle of like turning, a quick 10x or 5x or even a 2x, it's really for the people who should have been buying them all along, which is like people who like collect things, people who like art, people who like community, like, online community, which I think the COVID pandemic really shepherded, especially, with people on lockdown and all that. But like it's for those people with those green thumbs that like want to contribute to something bigger than themselves, while also understanding that like a sense of belonging is its own utility and like a support system in that distribution method. And it's been really cool to watch over now the 2+ years since Saga Monkes launched, how it could like just inspire a lot of people.
Maybe for Nifty, because it's more the technical side, but do you feel that this new trend of AI agents being so accessible, it helps also your community to build more stuff for Saga Monkes? Do you feel that?
Yeah. I mean, look, I'd be lying if I said I didn't use agents for certain things. It's why wouldn't you? I would say to people, it's like, no one cares about using a spell check. No one thinks I'm adding all those numbers up when I'm using a calculator. It's like you things evolve. You use tools. It's just how things go, and it's it just helps people get there quicker. The days ago when I'm sitting on Stack Exchange trying to debug one function that I've put a semicolon in the wrong place. You know what I mean? It's like it's gone.
It's ridiculous.
It just means we can just move forward. It's the ideas are still there. Just the way I get there is a different route. So I really don't have any problems in kind of using these tools for those things. But what I try and do is I always want to understand what I'm doing. You know what I mean? It's like just knowing that it does it isn't good enough for me. I want to know why it does it, and that's what what crazy about the Only Monkes thing is like, I'll say to the guy in the chat, "Oh, how does he do that?" He's like, "I don't know, Claude did it," and it's like, okay, it's cool. The outcome's there, but how much? I really want to dig into the how before so things like our game bounce. It's like spent a lot of time on that, just making sure it was secure, making sure the APIs were secure and stuff like that, because that's how you leave yourself vulnerable. I see it all the time on X, just people doing these things and just people getting exploited or things breaking down, and you can just leave yourself wide open. So to answer your question, I just think I think it's amazing that people can do all this stuff,
especially helping small projects, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like why not? Look, for years. I'm an artist myself, but I'm not a web designer. So, but creators is very good at the layout side of things. We spent years just screenshotting things, sending them. We always joke about it, like those days where just send me stuff. It's like with a little arrow, like 2 pixels down. It's like we just don't work like that anymore. It's like he can fork a project, he can just tweak things, send it back. I just put pull request. It just means that we can work in a different way, but the outcome's still the same. We'd always get there in the end, because I'll build something, he says how it looks, and then that's how it works. But those are the tools now. In 6 months' time, there'll be different tools, and we'll have to pivot to that. So you just got to keep moving. That's how you get left behind. And I think that's what's exciting about Solana is all the things that people are building, like Helios, Solana, everybody. They're creating tools. How do we make things to make it easier for you to build stuff? Because that's what you want. It's like, we want 1,000 apps out there, because 2 of them might be great. But if only 2 of them are out there in the first place, you're probably guaranteed that they're just going to be a piece of shit. You know what I mean? So it's a numbers game. It's like put as many things out there as you can and see what sticks. You just got to try these things. But hopefully someone doesn't get hurt along the way, with getting drained and all that kind of stuff. That's the thing. Stay safe, but try stuff.
What is next? What's next for Saga Monkes?
I mean, we've Bounce has been out for a week. We've got. I mean, look, it's not an easy game. It's hard, but I've been playing that game since May, June when I started creating it. And people have already tripled what I ever got. People are putting some time into that thing. I think we're on 110,000 games of it played in a week. It's just crazy numbers. We're just keep on going, as always. We're just keeping on going with what we're doing. We put out the game, we want people to play it. We've got new things to go out there, and obviously we want to do a few more kind of collaborations. Obviously we got the Solana mobile developers grant, which was great. So we've obviously got that to kind of push it a little bit further. But again, we'll just do things at our own pace, and we'll just keep on putting things out there as and when we kind of feel it needs to be. It's just test the temperature of what the community's doing. But I mean, all in all, it's been amazing just watching people play. It's weird seeing on the timeline. It's something that I've sat there with my Seeker, just playing myself, sending creative an APK every now and again just to test out. And now I've just got people on the timeline just getting just ridiculous scores and just really enjoying it. And you get collectibles in there, like collectible NFTs, just people getting all that kind of stuff. So
we've loved seeing. Sorry, go ahead.
No one.
We've loved, and we're at 109,000 total games played. 109,000 games. Over 530 hours. Yeah. It's been really exciting seeing people resonate with our kind of idea of collectible cosmetics in that, like, and there's a lot of great games and apps on Solana, in crypto in general, on Solana mobile. A lot of them, like, they're a customer base or player base, user base, purely for the sake of getting paid to be there is not PMF.
Yeah.
Just in that, selling X amount of phones to dump an airdrop and not use it ever again is not PMF. Like, I'm pretty vocal about that. Like, your player base, if you stopped paying your players to play tomorrow and they all stopped playing, that was not a successful game. That was not a successful app. So while I believe our growth will be slower for that reason, we don't pay our players. We don't, you earn bananas, which is a database item. It's not a currency. You can use that to open loot boxes. You might get some more bananas. You might get a collectible cosmetic, which is a non-transferable NFT, whether that be a world that you can play in or a playable character. I personally think the best on-chain art has multiple uses. That's why every in-game character can was designed in a way where it can be used as a PFP on Twitter, on socials. Every level that we had made, we also had a scenic view of each world that can be used as a desktop wallpaper. It can be used as a Twitter banner. It can be used as a phone wallpaper. I mean, we had multiple versions of each one made. I mean, we put a lot of money and thought and time into the way the collectible cosmetics looked and worked, so that, like, you felt like you were getting something instead of these games that are like, oh, I'm just max minting from this store so I can go dump them on secondary, because that's the only reason I'm here. And we won't say that those non-transferable, in-game assets won't one day be transferable, but we don't think you can build like a customer base or a player base. It's got to be fun first, and I mean, a lot of things that we built into Bounce is the same stuff that we built into our Soul Squatch Discord game, Campfire Guardians, was that, like, so many crypto games, blockchain games, they focus on a token they don't need. They focus on, like, how do we, like, create speculation and farm fees or whatever. Like, they focus on the play to earn aspect before making a game that's just fun to play, that, like, someone would play regardless if there's any financial upside at all. And, I mean, I'm a big gamer, since a kid. Pokemon Red, Apex Legends, Counter-Strike, whatever. And for me, it was always like, man, it sucks when, like, you buy this skin in a game in season 1, and then if it's supposed to feel like a flex, right? That, like, it won't be available again, So then when someone sees you playing in season 13, wow, they've been playing since season 1. But no, sure enough, all these companies, they just bring it right back out to make more money in season 12, or they recolor it, whatever. So there's a lot of those pain points and, like, things that have always bugged me, that was, like, direct solutions in Bounce, where, like, we want the fact that you were able to get the gold fur monkey, because as of now, all the in-game characters, they're all based off monkeys that Nifty and I personally own, because we didn't want to deal with IP stuff, or, oh, you're using my monkey, something based off my monkey, all that. Even though we have people that are like, we'd love to see my monkey in the game. Like, all right, well, are you going to sign a waiver, something? And I mean, we, right now, I think there's 4 or 5 in-game, characters in the store, but we have over a dozen plus, you know, that are ready to go, because we understand we need to keep the game fresh. You know, it's all about dopamine. Attention spans are getting shorter by the day. You know, so we launched it very, very prepared as far as the longevity of the game and keeping things fresh, you know, as far as the loot box mechanic, future banana sinks, the levels, you know, there being new levels, there being new in-game characters to collect. But also what's great is it's still a blockchain game in that, you know, we can snapshot these things. You know, if tomorrow I want to airdrop a Saga Monkey to a random person in the top 10, we can do that because of the technology we use. You know, we can, you know, depending on your score that you reach in the game, you can claim a badge that we intend to expand upon, you know, to keep people kind of vying for that next high score. We started with 3, which some we didn't think what the last one we didn't think would be very obtainable. We were very wrong with, you know, some of the people who were hitting 30,000 points, but that you know, for us with Saga Monkes is kind of always that perpetual carrot and stick, and that, you know, Saga Monkes concept is a very long-term, multi-year wave drop mechanism, and that, you know, to you know, whether it's 100 monkeys next or 1,000 monkeys next, or, you know, wave 3 was roughly 1,000 during Solana Breakpoint in December. But we use a proprietary, you know, monkey merit algorithm that Nifty built, where, you know, if I'm going to spend the next X amount of years of my life giving away free art, I want people who get it to deserve it. You know, instead of people who's going to dump it into a bid and then put their Saga or their Seeker back in their drawer, right, to collect dust. So that's the entire concept of the monkey merit algorithm, is how many merits does your wallet group have? And what's great is really through all of our experiences, whether you attended a Primate Pizza party, whether you reached, whether you secured the bounce, you know, merit badge tier 2, we're able to identify and reward those people in the bare minimum of additional merit in our monkey merit algorithm. But also that, you know, we just snapshot everyone who bought the Solana mobile stack world, you know, the current featured world in the game that you can purchase in SKR, the Seeker token. We're able to snapshot that and give everyone 500 bananas so they can open up a loot box for free, or drop three monkeys. You know, I think, just like what Nifty was talking about earlier, you know, the value you get out of an ecosystem does not always have to have a sold price. It doesn't always have to have a financial aspect, apart from, you know, how you can just continue to reward and include the people who are believing in you for however long.
Yeah, I think that's amazing, and I had some comparison with the Saga DAO that you guys gave so much, right? But I'm not sure if you want to dive into this anyway. But it's to prove the point that you guys keep on giving, right? Your goal is not the financial goal of extracting or collecting more. It's more giving, and you keep on giving to the community and to the Solana ecosystem, right? I think it's
definitely always been about giving more than we take. You know, we both feel very fortunate to how Saga Monkes was received. You know, we won't pretend to not have done well on enforced royalties. You know, we thought maybe we'd make $50. You know, it was definitely a nice surprise. But also we work really hard to expand on what we've built, you know, every single day. You know, I mean, I do all of this full time. You know, I kept some freelance stuff from once upon a time. That's AI has helped me in regards of limiting that work. But you know, especially, you know, as the artist, I mean, this to me is my legacy. You know, on Solana. You know, I know I hope to think I'm a humble person, but I also am not delusional to the fact that I know what Saga Monkes did as far as setting records, as far as what it is to Solana and Solana Mobile. So everything that I do is aimed towards preserving that. You know, I get people who, I mean, I've turned down 50 SOL offers for custom, you know, Saga Monkey PFPs, and I'm like, I'd love to take your money, but like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do something that degrades that lowers the value of the silhouette or of the collection, of the provenance of the lore. You know, it'd be better in an attention economy if I was pumping out custom monkey JPEGs for meme coin collaborations and whatever, doing a Pudgy Penguin one because they came to Solana or whatever, you know, like things like that like you see a lot of other people do because it makes sense. Like it makes sense to capture that attention. And there are a lot of things that I'm like, that would be fun. That would be a fun idea if we did that. But if it has any way of a negative impact on the provenance and the historical value or the silhouette itself, it's like, it's just an instant no matter, you know, maybe that's a fun experiment for Soul Squatch, right? Where there isn't that
legacy,
legacy reputation, so to speak, that like you don't want tarnished. That's a little different. But it's definitely, it's a lot of, you know, I mean, it's ebbs and flows, you know.
Yeah, I think we are reaching the end of the episodes with this positive note of giving. Is there anything else that you want to add? Any future plans? Something, some alpha?
We're so close to bounce being released. I think at the moment it's just all about that, and like I said, we've got plans for that. It's not just what's in the app now; it's long term. But you know, like I say, it's just great seeing people play it. There's nothing in that game that someone who wasn't paying for an NFT in the game couldn't enjoy, if you know what I mean. So I think that kind of says it all. It's like there's no barrier to doing anything from us, you know, apart from just enjoying it, really. And that's everything that we keep on doing going forward. We'll just always take those ethics and those values. Otherwise, we're off the path. And I think that's what we're pretty good at as well with each other, is just keeping each other on that focused path, because you know we've been through a lot together. So
that sounds great. It's great. It's I have to say thank you to both of you.
Well, yeah, thanks for
being here. It was a pleasure. Great conversation. And that's it. Thank you so much.
All right, brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Chop, chop, the wood we carry. Chop, chop, never meant to bury. Fire runs through the grain. Nothing lost, nothing to claim. Chop, chop, keep it moving. Chop, chop, always flowing around the night. Voices arise in the dark, truth survives.